Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Just Law on IQRA TV. This is the second part to our show. Just before the break, we taken a call from a caller who was inquiring about a visit visa that they had made for a relative to come to the United Kingdom, and we had to take a break, so I wasn't able to give my advice properly in relation to that. Now, it sounded like that most of the documents that needed to be submitted had been submitted. So essentially the only option then you're left with is to look at whether it can be challenged by way of judicial review or not. But in order to do that, it is a complicated area of law. You should really speak to a solicitor and get them to assess the documents to see whether there's enough grounds there to pursue a judicial review claim. That's the only option left, unfortunately, if you've made a number of applications and the application has still been refused. Okay, we'll take our next call. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Ji, thank you for calling. Ji, what's your question?
A bit complicated.
Okay.
आप मेरे साथ थोड़ा पेशेंट रहिए, मैं एक्सप्लेन करूंगी इस बात को.
Okay, no problem.
एक young man है, he was held in custody under the immigration.
Okay, okay,
And I have put down a surety.
okay,
And he's been involved in a lot of, he got a lot of issues.
okay, all right, okay,
He hasn't got a clean record.
okay, I understand.
And he's a Palestinian origin.
Okay,
And he got 4 kids. From older one is 13 and the younger one is 5.
okay,
And his relationship isn't working.
okay, okay,
And he continues to do wrongdoing.
okay,
And his appeal is on the 7th next month.
okay,
And he's seeing the solicitor. We've paid the fee, but I just want to know, where does he stand,
okay.
and what can be done for him to help him.
What kind of application has he made, which is now the subject of the appeal? Is it an asylum claim? What is it?
Yes, he made asylum. He's been here for 30 plus years, and he never had any documents or any application which was pursued for him.
Okay, all right, but he's been here for about 30 years, you think? Okay.
I'm definite. He's been 30 plus years. He's 36 nearly, and he's been here over 30 years.
Okay. Now, in terms of the criminal offences, have they ever resulted in a custodial sentence? As in,
yes, yes.
What's the longest he's had to serve in prison?
2 years.
2 years. I think that's, and how long ago was that?
He was released when 2 years ago. He was released from under the immigration.
Has he ever been granted indefinite leave? Ever?
No, he never been granted.
Never been granted it. Okay, all right. The issue really is this: normally somebody who's been here for that length of time would normally be given some kind of leave to live in the United Kingdom, because somebody who is even an overstayer, once they've been in the United Kingdom for 20 years as an overstayer, as long as they can prove that they've lived in the UK for 20 years, would be granted as a minimum some kind of leave to remain in the United Kingdom. Here the issue really is the criminal convictions, and in particular the length of the sentence that he's been given. If he spent 2 years in prison, it may well be that he's had a custodial sentence of around 4 years. And I think really the issue is, in light of that, should he be granted leave to remain in the United Kingdom? Because in most cases, what the Home Office will do is try, there's a problem with a passport which we can deal with later, but what the Home Office will do is to try and deport that person from the United Kingdom.
Yes, this is the situation with him.
Which is the application. Now, he will argue against deportation on 2 grounds. One is the length of residence in the United Kingdom, number of children that he has, and it may be an asylum claim that he runs at the same time as well. The judge has to really consider all that, but what works against him is the length of the custodial sentence. Ultimately, even if everything's even if he loses, ultimately the problem that the Home Office may well have is that they aren't able to establish his identity properly for him to be sent back to Palestine. But I think the problem really here is the custodial sentence and the length of it, which may make it difficult for him to be granted further leave to remain in the UK. Sorry, I can't go into any more detail on that because we've got a number of other calls waiting, which I'll now take. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You're live on air, brother. What's your question?
My question is that my daughter-in-law, she's applying for a spouse settlement, spouse visa.
I understand. Okay.
And on the VAF4A form, there is a question which says, have you been refused a visa for any country, including UK, in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
And to that, the answer is actually yes.
Okay.
Because my daughter-in-law applied for a child visitor visa.
Okay.
With her mother in 2012.
I understand. Yep.
To attend a family wedding in the UK.
I understand. Yep.
Now, at that time, she was only 17.
I understand.
So she was a minor, and obviously she wasn't married at the time either.
I understand. Okay.
The question that I have is, when we declare this information on the VAF4A form, do you think this will have a negative impact on the application for spouse settlement visa?
It will have no impact whatsoever on the application. No impact at all on the application. But what you must do is declare the fact that there has been a previous refusal. Because if you don't declare it, and obviously they will check their systems, and they find out that there has been a previous refusal, they will then use that against you to refuse this particular application. So it doesn't matter if there's been a previous refusal. So there's no problem. You must declare it. Now,
sorry.
The point I was going to make is when you mentioned the form that you were completing.
Yeah.
It's where is your daughter-in-law? Which country is she in?
She's in Pakistan at the moment.
If she's in Pakistan, you wouldn't normally complete that form that you've mentioned, which has that question on it, because all applications are now done online. So, the form that you mentioned and the question that you mentioned, those questions are actually completed online nowadays. So it's not done on paper.
But I think even online that question is still there.
Yes,
question number 28.
Yes, online it is there. But there's no paper form.
No, it's not paper form. It's just when I refer to it, it is online form.
Yes, it's an online form with the question. It's just when you said it's a WAF form.
Right.
So obviously it appears on the online version, but it's not a WAF.
Yeah, it's the online version. Now the following question, it says if the answer is yes, please provide full details, and it asks for date, country, and reference number.
Yep. Okay.
Which we have.
Okay.
Is it worth putting any additional information in the additional information section?
No, you don't. I mean, just tell me, why was it refused? Very, very briefly, just tell me.
Yeah, very briefly, it says that you applied for a visa along with your mother, and it says mother's name, application number. I note your mother's application has been refused. She is no longer travelling to the UK, and no other reason for your travel without them has been put forward.
Okay. Best thing to do is, if you've got the information about the dates and the reference number, put those in. And when it says reasons for refusal, just say requirements not met.
Okay.
You don't need to go into any detail. It's completely irrelevant to the current application. Just put requirements not met. But definitely do mention it, but it will have no negative impact on this particular application at all.
Okay, and then just put the date, the country, and the reference number. That's what they asked for. And in the additional information, just mention that requirements were not met.
No, where it asks you the date and the reference number, there it will ask you reasons for the refusal.
Okay.
There, if you just put requirements not met, that's sufficient.
Just keep it simple. Yeah.
You don't need to say any more than that. You've mentioned it, and that's all you're obliged to do. You don't need to deal with it. Some refusals do need to be dealt with, but in this case, there's no need to deal with it. Complete waste of time to deal with it.
Do you think the fact that she was a minor at the time, will be something that's positive for us? Because obviously,
to be quite honest, it's not negative, it's not positive, it's neutral. It's a neutral point. It has no bearing on this application at all. Because the reason for that, visit visa requirements, one of the requirements is that you will leave the United Kingdom. And it's on that ground that the applications are refused, that the entry clearance officer is not satisfied that the person will leave the United Kingdom. That requirement doesn't apply to a spouse visa. Obviously, there's no requirement to leave the United Kingdom. So therefore, what's the grounds upon which the previous application has been refused is irrelevant when it comes to looking at a spouse application. But brother, thank you very much for your call. I'm sorry to rush you, but we've got a number of calls waiting, so I'm going to have to take another call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
जी, what's your question?
जी, मेरा सवाल ये है कि हमें ना तकरीबन 7 साल से ज़्यादा हो गया इस कंट्री में।
ओके।
तो पहले स्टडी वीज़े पर आए थे, उसके बाद हमने अप्लाई किया उसके लिए जो होता है एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए, लेकिन वो नहीं हुआ हमारा। फिर उसके बाद हमने अप्लाई किया वर्क परमिट के लिए, वो भी नहीं हो सका। फिर हमने असाइलम के लिए अप्लाई कर दिया और अभी कोर्ट ऑफ अपील के लिए गया हुआ है हमारा केस। तो जिसमें भी लगता नहीं है हमें कि कोई एनी चांसेस होंगे उसमें। तो हमारे लिए कोई ऐसी कैटेगरी बनती है कि हम कुछ और अप्लाई करें, या फ्रेश एप्लीकेशन भी नहीं अभी
आपके पास चिल्ड्रन है? आपके पास चिल्ड्रन
नहीं है क्योंकि इनफर्टिलिटी का प्रॉब्लम है मेरे।
ऑलराइट, ओके। सो आपका पार्टनर भी वो नॉन ब्रिटिश है, वो भी सेटल्ड नहीं है यूके में?
नहीं, दोनों ही हम इकट्ठे आएंगे, इकट्ठे। वो मेरे डिपेंडेंट आए।
जी। अनफॉर्चुनेटली एट द मोमेंट I can't think of any other category that you can go into. आप जैसे situation में mainly क्या होता है कि if there are children, so you make an application based on the children and the length of the residence of the children in the United Kingdom. Adults का तो ये problem है ना कि you either have to have lived in the UK for 10 years legally, or if you're an overstayer, you need to have lived in the UK for a total of 20 years. Sometimes if you're under 25, the rules are slightly different, but I suspect in terms of age, you're both over the age of 25, I suspect.
Yeah, over 25, yeah.
Because of the length of residence, I thought you'd be over 25. So that rule doesn't help you. You are a little stuck at the moment in terms of, because the category, once you become an overstayer, the category that applies to you is the overstayer category, which does require 20 years of residence. To fit 20 years, you're here for 7 years. You need to spend another 13 years in the UK before you fall into that category. Sounds like a lifetime.
Yeah. So we can't even apply for because जिस घर में हम रह रहे हैं अभी, तो वो अभी उनकी शादी हो रही है तो उनको रूम चाहिए, तो अभी हमने यही मतलब उनके साथ ही रह रहे थे, तो we don't have to pay for anything, तो because we don't work.
I understand.
As we don't allow to work. तो अब मसला ये है कि क्या अभी हम उनसे कोई ले सकते हैं, बेनिफिट्स के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते?
नहीं, there's no benefits because you're still an overstayer. There's no benefits or anything. कुछ भी अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते अभी. Benefits meaning nothing at the moment.
मतलब उनसे किसी चीज़ की वो हेल्प भी नहीं मांग सकते. Like अगर हमें कहीं जाना है तो definitely we have to pay for the rent and
definitely ये problem.
We don't take anything from them.
No, I understand. The only help that the government may provide is कि if you say कि I want to go back to my home country, मुझको वापस जाना है, तब वो हेल्प करते हैं, मगर यूके के अंदर में वो हेल्प नहीं करेंगे, स्पेशली विदाउट चिल्ड्रन वो असिस्टेंस नहीं देंगे आपको. That's the problem, I'm afraid.
और इधर हमारे लिए कोई एडॉप्शन की भी कैटेगरी नहीं आती because we can't produce any child.
Adoption का problem
नहीं ले सकते कुछ भी.
The problem here with adoption is कि it's not a problem, but it's a very strict process आपको you have to go through, which includes approval by social services. तो if आपका जो status अभी unsettled है, so it's unlikely that social services would approve you as parents who could adopt. ये problem है. जब तक आपका status sort out ना हो जाए, they won't let you adopt. Unfortunately, you are stuck at the moment. Unfortunately.
Anyway,
no problem. Okay, thank you very much for your call. I hope you're able to sort something out. And we'll take our next call. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji walaikum salam. Thank you for calling. What's your question?
The question is just about FLR spouse visa.
Ji, yep, okay. Ji, sorry, fire away. Yep.
Oh, sorry, I'm live, am I? Sorry.
You're
sorry.
live. Yeah,
My
yeah.
first question was about further leave to remain.
Okay, okay.
Just 1 second. I want to ask you the spouse for the further leave to remain. I'm going self-employment.
I understand. Okay, okay.
Right, and my wife, she will be going employment. Can self-employment and my wife's salary be combined?
It can be. It can be combined. But what you need to bear in mind is that where one of the parties is relying on self-employment, the duration of the employment income, employment evidence has to be the same as the duration for the self-employment income and evidence. So, are you, in terms of your self-employment, are you a sole trader, partner, or do you have
I'm a sole trader, taxi driver, yeah.
Okay, sole trader, that's fine. Right. So the year which is relevant for you is April to April. So if you are going to apply now, the year which is relevant is April 2016 to April 2017.
Sorry to interrupt you. My wife's FLR ends in December 2019.
Okay, then the relevant year is April 18 to April 19. Okay. Okay.
Right.
So that's a relevant year. Okay. So now once that's been identified, what you do is you show your self-employment income during that period. Okay.
Okay.
So your bank statements, your personal bank statements, your business bank statements if you have it, your accounts, your tax returns, your SA302, etc. So you show that. What your wife does is that your wife shows her income for that duration, April 18 to April 19, and also that as at the date of application she is still in employment. So that's what you look at. So when you're trying to work out whether you've earned enough money or not, you look at what you've earned during April 18 to April 19 in terms of what you've earned from your self-employment and what your wife has earned from her employment, and that's what you add together.
Just to add a little bit, for example, let's say I have started my self-employment this month, just for example, right?
Okay.
My wife, she is not in employment at the moment. She will be starting employment, let's say, a couple of months down the line, right?
Yep.
That will still come in under April 19, or
it is. The requirement isn't that you must have been self-employed for the duration of the 12 months, or that your wife has to be employed for the entire duration of the 12 months. That's not the requirement. It's what you first ascertain what the relevant year is, and whatever income you've received, you include and add.
Right. Just sorry, thanks for just a little bit further. See, for example, let's say, giving you a better example, let's say my salary, like my self-employment income is before tax, is 30,000, and after tax is just like 17,000. Example, right? And my wife's salary after tax is just 10,000. Example, yeah.
Okay.
So I will combine the 17 and 10 for 27,000. Is that correct? Yeah.
No. So when you say 30,000 before tax,
so after
it's the
the
net
expenses,
profit. Yeah, after expenses. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So you combine the 17 with your wife's gross income.
Okay, right.
Gross income is what you added.
Oh, yeah, sorry, gross income, yeah. So we'll combine that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for a sole trader, it's the net profit, which is before tax.
Okay.
The last figure you see on the accounts. And then for the wife, obviously, it's her gross salary.
Sorry, one second. For a sole trader, it has to be net profit, not gross. Is that correct?
No, it's called net profit. It's called net profit. Yeah.
So that means I have to show my net profit, not my gross for self-employment.
No, you show your net profit. Yeah, net profit is what you show. Net profit is the figure before tax, etc., is applied. It's the net profit. In the set of accounts, you have turnover, etc., but you look at the last figure. The last figure on your accounts will be the net profit. That's the figure, relevant figure. Okay, thank you.
For employment,
right.
Like 18,600. That's the last question. And does it have to be a requirement that you have to make more in self-employment? Is that any criteria?
No. That whatever you make, you can include. No? Whatever you make. Just make sure that your business bank statements or your personal bank statements, if you're using that, just make sure that the transactions in those bank statements are consistent with the level of turnover and income that you're saying your business has. So if you're saying you get about 25, 30,000 pounds worth of income in, what you should try and do is have all that money going through your account. So at 30,000 pounds, the amount of money going into your account should be about £2,500. Brother, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to cut you short because I've got a number of callers waiting who've been waiting for a long time. So I'll take my next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Ji, sorry you've been holding for a while. Ji, what's your question?
Regarding ये जो स्पाउस वीजा के लिए
जी
हाँ जी जैसे मेरे पास यहाँ पे ना बायोमेट्रिक परमिट है
जी ओके
मेरा डाइवोर्स हो गया था तो उसके बाद फिर मेरे बच्चे थे यहाँ पे बच्चों के बेस पे मैंने वो बायोमेट्रिक परमिट लिया
राइट ओके
तो वो अभी मेरे पास बायोमेट्रिक परमिट है और अगर मेरी वाइफ को बुलाना है यहाँ पे
जी जी
तो मुझे स्पॉन्सर कर सकता हूँ मैं
जी आपके पास इंडेफिनिट है या नहीं है
इंडेफिनिट नहीं है मेरे पास बायोमेट्रिक परमिट
जी वो ठीक है आपके पास इंडेफिनिट नहीं है आपको कोई रेफ्यूजी स्टेटस मिला यूके में ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है
नहीं रेफ्यूजी स्टेटस नहीं है जैसे मेरे बच्चे ब्रिटिश थे
जी मैं समझ गया जी तो जब तक आपको इंडेफिनिट नहीं मिलेगा आप स्पॉन्सर नहीं कर सकेंगे आपको जब इंडेफिनिट मिलेगा इसके बाद आप स्पॉन्सर कर सकते हैं एक और रास्ता है अब बच्चे की जो बच्चे यूके में है उसकी उम्र क्या है
उसकी 11 एंड 12
जो अब्रॉड है आपकी वाइफ वो उसकी मदर है वो चिल्ड्रन की
नहीं
ऑलराइट ओके राइट स्टेप मदर है दैट डजंट रियली हेल्प इट लुक्स लाइक आपको वेट करना पड़ेगा जब तक आपको इंडेफिनिट लीव नहीं मिल जाए जी थैंक यू जी जी लीगली तो और तो कुछ करना मुश्किल है अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो आपको इंडेफिनिट लीव चाहिए अगर मदर कोई और बेसिस पे अगर यूके में है जी तो तब if she's already here in the UK we might be able to do something but sorry we're running out of time so I'm going to have to take my last call for the day hello assalamu alaikum ji wa alaikum salam ji bhai what's your question
जी मेरा दो सिंपल क्वेश्चन है मैं आया था सितंबर 97 में
जी ओके
और शादी बेस पे मैं आया था तो जो शादी तो थी वो तो खराब हो गई लेकिन मुझे 14 इयर्स बेस पे जो है इंडेफिनिट
जी मिल गया जी 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 unfortunately I think we're running out of time so what I'll do brother sorry I'm going to have to cut you short is if you ring us next week inshallah we'll look at your question in greater detail at that stage so that unfortunately does bring us to the end of the show we'll be back again on Monday next week at 6 o'clock until then assalamu alaikum